In the end, Artoria still didn't choose the lion she wanted. In modern society, the enhancement of human survival ability has led to the continuous shrinking of the living circle of large beasts such as lions. Under the influence of the ecological chain, maybe the lions at the moment are really incomparable with the lions thousands of years ago. Luo Tang didn't hesitate, and took Arturia back to New York directly. Even if the Earth cannot be found, there are not a few civilizations in the universe similar to the Earth's feudal era. No matter how bad it is, he brought Arturia to the world of fox demons. It's not difficult to find a tiger demon who has not yet opened his mind. Captain Marvel, who has just returned to the travel agency and has been acting as a waiter in the travel agency, found Luo Tang. Mentor, a planet has sent me a distress message, and their planet is facing a crisis of severing civilization. If you're far away, ask Heimdall to give you a ride. Thank you, Tutor. Captain Marvel nodded, put on the standard combat uniform, and left the travel agency quickly. The light of Bifrost flashed across the sky. Luo Tang stood in front of the window and took a look, then stopped paying attention. Captain Marvel guards the safety of thousands of planets. After staying with him for so long, he even thought about whether this guy was too leisurely every day. Is she the king of that planet? Like a squirrel, Arturia ate the pastry she bought on the way and asked softly. It's not that she travels through the universe, and wherever the planet needs her, she will be there. A mighty and admirable Asgardian. Before that, I was a little rude, and she deserves the utmost respect. She wouldn't feel that way. Luo Tang scratched his head and told the truth. A woman who wears slippers and picks her feet while reading documents will think that the foolish king is rude? What a joke. I'm afraid Surprise will only feel that the words and deeds of King Dumao's every frown and smile are in line with noble etiquette, which makes her feel uncomfortable. Where do I live tonight? Arturia nodded, looking relieved. On the second and third floors, just pick a room at random. Is there any dinner tonight? Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly. What should he say? Although in his previous life, he knew Artoria's appetite was quite good. But all the way back, after eating half of New York snacks, this girl is still thinking about dinner? Dinner will start in 10 minutes. Luo Tang paused and contacted Jarvis again. Although Tony Stark's character is not very pleasing, he is still very good. As far as Jarvis is concerned, he has exactly the same authority as Tony. Even if it is to carry out the operation of selling the Stark Group, Jarvis will not have any hesitation. More than 10 minutes later, the meals brought in by helicopter, full of British specialties, were put on the table. Albedo was also called down by Luo Tang and had dinner together. Although for demons, human dishes are not a necessity, and they don't even taste very ginger. But Albedo still ate with relish. For her, it was originally a great honor to dine with the Great Supreme. Definitely, if there is no third party during the meal, this meal will be more perfect. After dinner, Arturia chose a bedroom on the second floor and locked herself in the bedroom. What happened today still had a great impact on her. Whether it's coming to a strange world, or what Luo Tang said to her in the afternoon. My lord, it's time for you to go to bed. Albedo's golden eyes were full of anticipation, and while twisting her waist, she stuck to Luo Tang's back. The uncontrollable excitement made her tremble slightly. Gulu, Luo Tang swallowed. Although he enjoyed the feeling that Albedo was centered on him. But in this life, he is still a baby. When encountering this kind of sincerely begging for a child, the blood pressure will rise accordingly. Let's go. Luo Tang got up from his seat and boarded the third floor of the travel agency in a daze. Seeing the neatly placed children's clothes on the sofa, his expression froze slightly. My lord, this afternoon, I have already started making clothes for the child. Although I am only 2 years old, I will hurry up. Albedo blushed, and gently hooked Luo Tang's arms. Albedo, I have to tell you something, that, I'm not ready to have a child yet. Ah, is it that Albedo is not worthy of having a child of the Supreme Venerable? Is it true that such extravagant hopes should not exist in the humble hearts of us? No, I'm just not prepared for the time being. After all, I have a nearly infinite lifespan. Having a child too early would be an annoyance instead. Luo Tang looked at Albedo's desperate look, and quickly explained. But my lord, the great underground tomb of Nazarick has lost your noble blood. If you can't go back, it will be difficult for us to see you. Who says I can't go back? Flying Squirrel Supreme. Well, he probably didn't know the ground station existed. Luo Tang started talking nonsense. Luo Tang and Flying Squirrel had only been together for a few short hours. Favorability has barely reached 50. After becoming one of the supreme lords of the great underground tomb of Nazarick, he changed the information on his own. It can be said that Fei Shu's understanding of him and the travel agency is extremely limited. It is normal not to know the existence of the ground pickup station. But at that time, he had told Momonga that if Albedo and the others had any requests, he would fully cooperate. I believe that the favorability of 50 is enough to make the other party trust him a little bit. Albedo, after you go back, help me tell Momonga that Shaltir, Gargantua, Cocytus, everyone in the great underground tomb of Nazareth should not be punished. People have forgotten that Yggdrasil has reached its apex, and the fame of Ain Zul Gaon should resound in a larger world, and even spread to every world. The ground station is to bring it to a bigger world. World opportunity. Luo Tang pondered over the wording, using a psychological method, trying to guide the thinking of the flying squirrel. Such wording sounds a little shameful, but it should be quite useful. After all, the other party loves the guild too much. Moreover, he is now a member of the guild. The idea of bringing the guild to a bigger platform like this, Momonga will definitely accept it easily. Master Venerable, I will definitely tell Venerable Flying Squirrel exactly what you said. Well, okay. Let's go to bed early. Hugh, rest. It's really exciting. Albedo maintained her graceful posture for less than 10 seconds, but she collapsed after hearing the word, rest. With longing, anticipation, and a somewhat sickly intoxicated smile. Like a water snake, she entangled her. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The morning sun shines into the travel agency. Luo Tang, who was crazy all night, woke up early the next day. Looking at Albedo, who was still sleeping soundly, with a happy expression on his face, he got up and left the bedroom after tucking in the quilt for her. Russ. 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 The sound of sharp blades piercing through the air came from the second floor. Luo Tang was lying on the railing of the stairs, brushing his teeth while looking at Artoria, who kept swinging his sword. As the King of Knights, Artoria has extremely strict requirements on herself. Even if he has become in existence like a heroic spirit, he will still maintain the training he used to do every day. So hard-working? Luo Tang asked vaguely. Laziness is the enemy. Arturia stopped swinging her sword and turned to Luo Tang before answering. The answer is too serious. Seriousness is a virtue. Breakfast in half an hour. Luo Tang rolled his eyes. The King of Dumao is so rigid in everything he does. While making him feel interesting, he also has some doubts about life. Isn't it tiring to live such a rigid life? Okay. Arturia's dumb hair trembled. After putting the long sword in his hand into the weapon rack, he went into the bedroom to take a shower without saying anything. It looked like he was afraid that if he washed slowly, he would miss breakfast. Well, just like a little girl at this time. Luo Tang shook his head, turned around and went up to the third floor to continue washing. An hour later, when the two finished their meal, Arturia Shibe spoke again. President, shall we still go to the prairie today? No, change places today. Okay. Take you to a new world. The lions there should be able to meet your requirements. A smile curled up on the corner of Luo Tang's mouth, and he headed towards the back hall on the first floor of the travel agency. The teleportation hall behind the lobby on the first floor, at the moment, already has 7 doors, but only 2 are open. One is the world of fox demons, and the other is the world of super gods. Luo Tang raised his hand to invite Arturia, and walked into the world of Fox Fairy Little Matchmaker, first. Shua. The scene in front of me changed. The first thing to see is the wooden hall with more than 300 square meters under the space folding technology. In the hall, from the tables and chairs to the furnishings in the hall, all are made of integrated wood products. Above the wall, more than a dozen fluorite-like gemstones that can emit light are inlaid to keep the entire hall bright. On the 10 tables, there are fresh fruits and drinks that look extremely delicious. A female fox demon who appeared to be an adult was carefully cleaning the already spotless hall. Seeing the appearance of Luo Tang and Arturia, the rag in her hand fell directly to the ground. Sorry, I seem to have scared you. Arturia nodded apologetically to the other party. No, it's not. The fox demon took out a booklet from her pocket in a panic. Luo Tang could clearly see the 7 big characters, Code of Hospitality for Travel Agencies, printed on the brochure. This kind of thing, you don't need to guess, it must be made by Yaya. The little fox demon has been with him for so long, and he hasn't learned any other skills, but he has learned a lot of these fancy things. Hello, respected tourist, your current location is the pickup station of Tu Shan inside the bitterness tree. Please enjoy the fruit here first, so that I can inform the guide, Tu Shan Yaya, to come and receive you. Please wait a moment, 2 respected guests, let me go to Mrs. Tong Yaya. The female fox demon became more and more fluent as she spoke. After all, it is an adult fox demon, who can be selected as a receptionist, obviously also a smart and intelligent generation. In a short period of time, I adjusted my mentality and became calm and calm. Just do what you want, we'll wait here for Yaya. Luo Tang nodded, and did not make things difficult for the fox demon. Anyway, when you get to Tu Shan, you should respect Xiao Yaya. After all, in the world of fox monsters, the monster race and human race are not very friendly today, and it is far from the era when they can coexist harmoniously in the future. If there is an accident, the ending will not be very good. Me too. Artoria shuddered dumbfoundedly, her eyes had drifted to the fresh fruit. Thank you two distinguished guests for your understanding, I will take my leave first. The fox squatted down slightly, put his hands on his waist, performed a blessing, and retreated slowly. Standard calm oriental etiquette, she is very polite. Gotcha. As soon as King Dumao finished speaking, the crisp sound of fruit being bitten could already be heard in Ningzong. You seem to place a high value on politeness. Luo Tang's cheeks twitched slightly, and he could still eat fruit after breakfast. Is he worthy of being my king? Respect for others is a virtue. Okay. Although the president's words and deeds do not abide by too many etiquettes, he is very gentle in his heart, he can think of others, he is a kind and gentleman man. If in my time, you will be a knight loved by the people. Thanks for the compliment. Luo Tang shrugged speechlessly, this is considered a compliment. Probably. It can be said that a big man is gentle and kind, always feels a little weird. Forget it. At least admit that he has chivalry, this must be a reward. Master Yaya, Lord Hong Hong, Lord Rongrong. The travel agency has guests. This time there are two more. A shout that resounded throughout Tu Shan came from outside the ground station. Luo Tang, who was sitting in the ground station, twitched his cheeks slightly. Did he just praise a certain fox demon for being calm and calm? Now he takes that back. Damn chicken, this slap in the face was caught off guard. Do you need me to tell you the precautions in this world? Luo Tang changed the subject bluntly. Definitely, thank you very much. Dumao Wang nodded decisively. Luo Tang talked about the current situation of the fox demon world, and also talked about its future development. By the way, it illustrates the particularity of Tu Shan among the many races. Arturia nodded frequently. Such a magical world made her feel a burst of anticipation. The bitterness tree entrusted with endless love, the red thread fairy wandering in the world. What a wonderful world. In less than 10 minutes, a small head poked into the door of the travel agency. Yaya blinked her big eyes, and when she saw Luo Tang on the sofa, she snorted into his arms. Wow. Big brother, you actually came to Tu Shan as a guest. With a deep admiration on her innocent little face, Yaya hugged Luo Tang tightly, reluctant to let go no matter what. Although the ground station has been opened, but because Tu Shan Hong Hong restrained her, the little fox demon still couldn't meet Luo Tang often. Tu Shan, welcome to both of you, and thank you for taking care of my sister. A cold voice came from the gate of the ground reception station. Tu Shan Hong Hong walked in through the gate with Tu Shan Rongrong. Tu Shan Hong Hong, who was dressed in bright red, was tall and tall. Because he had been in charge of Tu Shan all year round, he had an intimidating demeanor. The naked crystal jade feet are not stained with dust. The anklet accessories add a bit of girlish delicacy to her cold temperament. Tu Shan Rongrong on the side is not as tall as Yaya. Now she is tilting her head, looking at the second sister who is acting like a baby in Luo Tang's arms. She has never seen her second sister who is so strong, showing such a lovely side. The method of sound transmission. Luo Tang looked at Tu Shan Hong Hong and patted Yaya's back. After getting off his body, he stood up and spoke. You're welcome. I like Yaya very much. Your Excellency, Tu Shan dare not or forget, if there are visitors from all worlds in the future, Tu Shan will open the door of convenience. Too serious, if someone violates Tu Shan's rules, they should be severely punished. Why? That's very good, thank you for your understanding. Tu Shan Hong Hong nodded, her tone was cold, with a faint sense of relief. For those who can connect to the world, their abilities can be described elegantly, and they are powerful. Even if it is as strong as Tu Shan Hong Hong, it is inevitable that she will be a little nervous. Although he is capable, he is surprisingly easy to speak. Tu Shan's voice was faint, and his unique gentle tone carried the calm attitude of a wise man. Even at a young age, the third head of Tu Shan has shown her demeanor. Luo Tang looked at the childish Xiao Yaya. It seems that the most immature of Tu Shan is this little girl. By the way, this is Artoria Pendragon, the legendary King Arthur. She came here this time because she has some special needs. Artoria, these three are the three masters of Tu Shan people. Luo Tang introduced the two parties in turn. The process of meeting Tu Shan's family for the first time was quite friendly. After everyone said hello, They naturally talked about the purpose of Artoria's coming here. Xiao Yaya complained that Luo Teng was full and didn't know that the hungry man was hungry. I don't know how many self-invited tourists will come here. She is still waiting for the points to be enough to upgrade the demon power in her body. Luo Teng smiled helplessly, so he could only take out a few bunches of candied haws to appease the little fox demon's hurt heart. Although the point small now has only 2 functions. But these 2 functions, as long as there are enough points, can fully enhance the strength. The strength of the effect is naturally needless to repeat. It's not that he doesn't want Yaya and others to improve their strength, but it's not yet the time to operate self-invited tourists on a large scale. First, nowadays, there are only 3 worlds that can communicate with each other, and the source of tourists is very scarce. Second, the 3 worlds, no matter which one, are far from peaceful. Blindly expanding the scale of operation without good communication will only make the travel agency into a mess. Luo Teng doesn't want to be a firefighter all over the world every day. Is it a lion spirit? Tu Shan Honghong frowned slightly after hearing Artoria's words, recalling the demons around Tu Shan. Although as a monster clan, it is somewhat unreasonable to attack someone who is also a monster clan. But no matter which race there are good and bad, there are not a few monsters who cause disaster. No, it's not. According to what you said, all the demon races that have become spirits already have wisdom that is not inferior to that of human beings. I just hope that I can entrust my past thoughts on the lion and let it stay with me forever. Whom to enslave? Arturia hurriedly spoke out and corrected Tu Shanhonghong's rhetoric. The lion spirit can transform into a human being, spit out human words, destroy mountains and ascend to the world in sea. This kind of lion, and the lion in her impression, are completely 2 extreme versions, okay? She is a lion who is meant to symbolize strength, courage, and majesty. Rather than a terrifying monster that can eat the population of a country in one breath. Moreover, she wanted a lion, to a large extent, to enshrine her longing for the past. She hopes that this lion will always be by her side. Although after making a contract with Elia, this is difficult to achieve. Luo Teng frowned. He understood the meaning of Artoria's expression, and also understood her real appeal. To put it bluntly, people's raising a lion is to let the lion accompany her forever. In her current state, this lion must be in a spirit state. Luo Teng conveyed this request to Tu Shanhonghong. The other party was slightly taken aback when he heard it, with a thoughtful look in his eyes. After a pause for a while, Tu Shanhonghong spoke again. Can you tell me how you feel about it? I used to miss and sustenance, and at the same time, it will also become my comrade in arms, fighting side by side unswervingly. In that case, please follow me. Tu Shanhong got up from the pickup station, invited Arturia, and went to the forbidden place in the deep mountains. For the soul, Tu Shan has an extraordinary research. After all, the technique of reincarnation and destiny is originally based on the 3 souls and 7 souls of the human body, and the magic power and the tree of bitterness are the medium. The spirit body of a lion is obviously not a big problem for Tu Shanhonghong. Today's sister is a little abnormal. Tu Shan said lightly. She was shrewd and could tell something was wrong at a glance. Huh. What's wrong with my sister? Yayahu's ears trembled, and she asked carelessly. The geese pluck their feathers, the beasts leave their skins. According to my sister's rules, there is only one guy related to lions in the forbidden area. Even if it is to repay a kindness, it is too generous. Right. Yaya tapped her right hand on the palm of her left hand, showing a cute look of sudden realization. Hearing Rong's familiar words, Luo Teng slightly raised his eyebrows and asked. What is related to the lion in the forbidden area? A lion king with 500 years of magic power even if only the soul body is left. Rong opened his mouth and answered, insane? The reincarnation failed, and the 3 souls and 7 souls were damaged, leaving only a 7-year-old child with wisdom, but he didn't want to be reincarnated. Male. Female. Rong tilted her head and smiled, as if she had seen through Luo Teng's heart. Luo Teng angrily gave the opponent a headache. The little girl is only a few years old, so she pretends to squint her eyes. Don't you know that squinting eyes are all monsters? Tu Shan Rongrong covered the attacked forehead with both hands, and looked up at Luo Teng stupidly. She didn't realize it for a while. She never thought that she would be beaten. It doesn't hurt. Don't pretend to be an adult in the future, children, you should be more relaxed. Luo Teng raised his hand and rubbed Rong's little head, with a gentle smile on his face. Rongrong and Yaya are completely 2 cute ways. Rong is shrewd and wise, but occasionally shows a blank look. The contrast is so cute, it's so cute. Yaya, on the other hand, is lively and strong, deliberately showing off her small appearance, which seems to be able to penetrate everyone's hearts. No, it doesn't hurt anymore. Rong opened her mouth foolishly. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw her second sister's laughing expression. Her cheeks were as red as a prawn. She hurriedly lowered her head shyly to buy. Roar. A lion's roar resounded throughout Tu Shan. An aura that seemed to be a demon but not a demon, and a spirit that was not a spirit, spread all over the surroundings in an instant. Luo Tang stood up suddenly and looked towards Tu Shan's back mountain. And the monsters living in Tu Shan immediately put down the work at hand. To the ghosts of Tu Shan, removing the mountain is one side. This place gave them a place to live, and also gave them hope enough to survive. No one can be presumptuous here. What's the situation? Luo Tang frowned. The sky system radiates dark energy around it, and quickly begins to detect the situation of the back mountain. The Lion King once ruled thousands of demon clans during his lifetime. Even if the 3 souls and 7 souls are damaged, he still has his own pride. If he wants to subdue it, he must defeat it. Rong explained softly. Big brother, can that blonde sister do it? Do you want me to help her? Yaya puffed out her small breasts. She looked like she was the second in the world, and she was confident. Second sister, you are not the opponent of the Lion King. Slashing the immortal gourd is not very effective against spirit bodies. Rong ruthlessly exposed Yaya's true face. Xiao Yaya felt that she had lost face in front of Luo Tang, and was about to refute, but her little head was covered by a big hand. Artoria is strong. Luo Tang explained that the dark energy feedback has already sent back the situation in the back mountain. How strong is Artoria? Although the other party said that she is somewhat similar to a saber class now, but that is just self-effacing. There is no restraint of the Alaya here, let alone the restraint of the Holy Grail. Its strength is completely at the peak state of her lifetime, even stronger. As King Arthur, who is proficient in foot combat, horse combat, sword, spear, bow and other martial arts, he also has the sword that promises victory against the city. Luo Tang couldn't think of any reason for Artoria to lose. With a movement of his hand, he used secret magic to draw a golden circle of light. Walk into it with Rong and Yaya. In the forbidden area behind Tu Shan Mountain, on the towering peak, Artoria has already put on knight armor. In the spirit state, there is still a Lion King with a height of more than 3 meters and a length of more than 8 meters. Showing his ferocious sharp teeth, he stared at Artoria in front of him. If you fail to subdue it and give it the power to continue to survive, perhaps in another 100 years, it will completely dissipate. Tu Shan stood calmly on the side of the battlefield, with a bit of pity in her green eyes. Loved a human man deeply, but that man was unable to respond because he was dead. If you can't complete the reincarnation and continuation of fate, you will end up in the Loess and be buried in Tu Shan forever. Even if she sees this kind of thing too much, she will still feel pity in her heart. Spiritual bodies can't last forever. Artoria frowned. It has lost the will to survive, and it is unwilling to reincarnate, and the 3 souls and 7 souls have been dissipating. Giving it new hope? Artoria's expression became serious. At the moment, her battle is no longer fighting for her own selfish desires, she also shoulders the heavy responsibility of saving the other party. Luo Tang raised his right hand, and under the control of the heaven system, a dark energy barrier enveloped the battlefield. Thanks. Tu Shan glanced at him and thanked him. Roar. The Lion King roared again as he paced back and forth. The violent sand swept across the flying rocks and broken trees, and the roar turned into a hurricane, straight towards Artoria. Click. Artoria held up the sword of the vowed victory, and an incomparable momentum rose from her body. Exquisite face, with a seriousness and earnestness that is very different from daily life. A golden beam of light shot up from the blade to the sky. Sword of promised victory. With a loud shout in her mouth, Artoria's hair flew up, and the long sword in her hand slammed down. Boom. The aftermath of the collision of moves wiped away a portion of the entire mountain. The terrifying sword energy directly knocked the Lion King in the spirit state to the dark energy protective wall set up by Luo Tang. Luo Tang protected Yaya and Rong behind him with one hand. The 2 little fox demons stared dumbfoundedly at Artoria, who was valiant and majestic. Holding the sword of vowed victory, at the moment, she is like the only protagonist in the world. Blow me up, king of stupid hair, Luo Tang groaned inwardly. Artoria, who is serious about fighting, is so handsome that she explodes. And just now the change of the treasure in the opponent's hand, even the system of the heavens can't fully read it. I found a new project that needs to be studied. Luo Tang muttered. Originally, when he came to Tu Shan, he had the idea of learning about Tu Shan's soul. Tu Shan's research on soul memory and 3 souls and 7 souls is quite worthy of recognition. This is fundamentally different from manipulating memory through the hippocampus. Now it seems that the treasure also needs to be studied. His learning topics suddenly added another one. You must know that the heavens system is not only calculating the genetic engineering with huge data about the perfect 3 generations of gods, the power of killing gods, the power of the galaxy, and the rows of time and space. It is still deducing the complete void theory, as well as the acquisition of supporting void particles and other knowledge. Luo Tang slammed his mouth, and couldn't help but feel emotional. Live and learn forever, and don't know when this kind of learning will be ahead. Ding, tourist Artoria Pendragon, the purpose of the trip has been achieved. You can return to the original world at any time, or wait for the expiration of 1 month to return to the original world. Ding. After completing the tourist reception, the host can choose any ability, bloodline, or item from Artoria Pendragon. W. Artoria, with the assistance of Tu Shan, signed a soul contract with the Lion King. Immediately thereafter, the notification sound from the Wanji travel agency system came. Luo Tang raised his eyebrows, and now he has accumulated 4 copy opportunities. Liang Bing, Little Dr. Immortal, Camu Madoka, Artoria. Liang Bing and Little Dr. Fairy can postpone it temporarily. As for Madoka Camu, in fact, Luo Tang is more concerned about the opponent's magic. In the later stage of Deyuanshan, 1 arrow was shot, and hundreds of millions of arrows were divided into supernormal existences that directly covered the entire Earth. Although the moves are simple, the upper limit of potential is extremely high. Artoria is even simpler, Sword of Promised Victory. Although it seems from the appearance, the sword in the lake, at the moment has been split into Curry Stick and Avalon. But even if it is dismantled, it is still an A++ level anti-city treasure. And, maybe he'll be able to strip the Avalon from the Coyote someday? At that time, if the 2 can be combined into 1, and the power of the sword in the lake can be reproduced, its power will really be exaggerated to the point of horror. System. Copy Kame Madoka's magic, copy Artoria's Sword of Vowed Victory. Luo Tang spoke to the system in his heart. Ding, the magic girl's magic has a very low compatibility with the host, and the magic has been automatically improved. Ding, the Sword of Vowed Victory has been stored in the system warehouse. 2 consecutive system prompts sounded. As soon as Luo Tang thought about it, he could feel the magic like instinct. As long as he condenses dark energy, he can directly manifest an energy longbow in his hand, and gather dark energy into arrows. How strong is the dark energy? How strong is this arrow? Looking at the system warehouse, the Sword of Oath to Victory is already lying with Black Sword Yingo, White Sword Kaiming, and Space Gem. President, my travel purpose has been achieved. Arturia brushed back the broken hair around her ears, with a reserved and gentle smile on her face. The Lion King at the moment is following Artoria. Although he has shrunk in size, he is still nearly 1.6 meters tall and more than 3 meters long. Congratulations. Luo Tang expressed his joy, knowing that Arturia's farewell was imminent. He changed the topic and continued to ask. Have you thought about your future path? How should you decide? Arturia placed 1 hand on the Lion King's back. Rubbing the fur that feels real to the touch, there is remembrance of the past and firmness to the future in his eyes. After signing the soul contract, she knew the past of the Lion King. The other party's experience and final choice made her see her own shortcomings and decided to face the future bravely. But if possible, she hopes that another self can take a completely different path. Okay, I understand. I will go to your world as soon as possible. Luo Tang read Artoria's thoughts from her talking eyes. I can't repay you for your help. Ka. Arturia put 1 hand on her heart, and sent her respect and thanks with the standard knight salute. Luo Tang. If possible, cook me a meal next time we meet. Luo Tang smiled and said something half-jokingly. Arturia was taken aback for a moment, and a bright smile appeared on her face in an instant. In the eyes, there was an indescribable tenderness at some point. Although I'm not good at cooking, I will try my best. The ripples of the space gate appeared behind Artoria. After bidding farewell to the 3rd sister Tu Shan, she turned around and took the Lion King, and walked in with great strides. Arturia has the bearing of a king, although she is nostalgic, she walks with ease and firmness. Are you leaving too? Tu Shan turned to look at Luo Tang. I'm not going back yet. I want to borrow Tu Shan's books on souls. Definitely, in return, I will provide some knowledge about demon power and spells. Borrow at will, and you don't need to pay back. Your Excellency's help to Yaya is enough to keep Tu Shan alive for thousands of years. Only by maintaining an equal communication method can we coexist for a long time, and I have heard of Tu Shan Hong's rules. Luo Tang shook his head and said something with some teasing. A trace of unnaturalness flashed across Tu Shanhong's face, and she turned her head to look at Yaya and Rongrong coldly. Apart from her two little sisters, who would dare to chew her roots in Tu Shan? Yaya and Rongrong, startled by the eyes of their big sister, pointed their fingers at each other without thinking. Tu Shan's red eyebrows twitched. If it wasn't for the wrong occasion, she would have to give Yaya and Rongrong a good lesson. In the extremely mysterious Wanji travel agency, she saw the hope that Tu Shan could prosper forever. For Tu Shan, she has been working hard to create her own image in front of Luo Tang. In the end, she turned around suddenly, and she had already sold her little sister. Is there anything more irritating than this? Yaya shivered and ran behind Luo Tang. Seeing this, Rongrong stayed for 2 seconds, then ran over to the mountain. Tu Shanhonghong was so angry that her teeth were itchy. Yaya and Rongrong, whose sister is it? Luo Tang laughed. He had expected Yaya's behavior, but he didn't expect that Rongrong would follow her. Sure enough, is it because Hong Hong is too fierce on weekdays? Your Excellency, President, please come with me. Tu Shan's library pavilion must be guided by someone to enter. Hong Hong said quietly. Under the sound transmission spell, she didn't show the murderous look just now. Trouble with Hong Hong. Luo Tang nodded, but did not see the two little fox demons behind him. Their faces were already pale. It's over. My sister is really angry. Tu Shan's book collection pavilion covers the accumulation of the Yaozu for an unknown number of years. Even the manuscripts of some thousand-year-old demons can be seen everywhere here. Luo Tang concentrates on studying all kinds of books, in order to get the essence of Tu Shan's magic and soul in the shortest time. With Tu Shan's spell, the soul defines the 3 souls and 7 souls. It has a certain similarity with the religious doctrine that Luo Tang heard in his previous life. The 3 souls are divided into cause, place, and danger. The 7 souls are divided into Tianchong, Lingui, Qi, Li, Center, Jing, and Ying. One of the souls of heaven and earth is in the sky, the other is in the earth, and only the soul of life lives in the body. The life and soul of a person dominates thoughts through Tianchong Lingui, the soul of the 7 souls. Through the 2 souls of vigor and the central soul, the main action. Master the body through the elite 2 spirits. Only the center and 1 soul is the center of the 7 souls. It sounds mysterious, but if it is explained from a scientific point of view. The 7 souls actually refer to the 7 chakras above the midvein, from the tinling point on the top of the head to the Weiyin point on the abdomen. That is, the 7 energy fields of the human body. Earth medicine has already confirmed that the human body, from birth, the substances in the body will undergo electrochemical reactions. This also corresponds to the 7 energy fields of the 7 souls. Tu Shan's memory awakening spell controls Tianchong soul and Lingui soul. Tianchong soul is in the top chakra, and Lingui soul is in the brow chakra. These 2 energy fields directly cover a person's entire head. To put it bluntly, this memory awakening spell has certain similarities with Luo Tang's binary expansion and regression frame technique. The difference is that the former uses the energy under the special calculation formula to stimulate the energy field of the human body to achieve the purpose of modifying memory. The latter achieves the purpose of modifying memory by controlling the hippocampus of the human body. 2 methods. One is like electronic physiotherapy, the other is like surgery. Phew. Finally finished watching. Luo Tang's reading speed is needless to say, but even so, he read it for nearly a day. Not how many books there really are. It's because of the 1,000-year-old monsters talking too much nonsense. Even some misunderstandings in cognition have led to the theories of these 1,000-year-old demons, and some of them have taken the wrong path. Luo Tang not only needs to eliminate their continuous nonsense, but also carefully distinguish the mistakes in it. The amount of work is naturally not small. Summarizes many spells for the soul. After Luo Tang said hello to the fox demon guarding Zangshu Pavilion, he left Zangshu Pavilion. The spells he left for Tu Shan had already been engraved on some blank books when he first arrived at the library. While looking at Tu Shan, it is similar to the ancient buildings of the Ming dynasty. Luo Tang walked towards the tree of bitterness while walking. For humans, Tu Shan's fox demons are not particularly repulsive. Most of the monsters who can live here have human lovers. Because of the limitation of lifespan, the 2 cannot stay together forever, so they come here to find the method of reincarnation and continuation of fate. Walking through the bustling streets full of monsters, Luo Tang has already reached the tree of misery. Looking at the gate close to 2 meters wide on this 10,000-year-old tree, his cheeks twitched violently. Yaya's digging is really ruthless. If it weren't for the appearance of the ground station, the misery tree would not have been damaged, but would have added an indestructible attribute. It has brought new hope to Tu Shan. I am afraid that Tu Shan Hong will have the thought of skinning her. The Tree of Bitterness. Did you hear that? Nanshanhai, am willing to swear with 90% of my demonic power that we will meet each other in the next life. A voice full of expectation and despair came from the other side of the misery tree. Luo Tang, who was going to go straight back to the travel agency, paused. Look to the other side of the Tree of Bitterness. 3 sisters, Tu Shan Yaya, and Rongrong, stood quietly beside a beautiful siren. Holding the demon pill of life fellow practitioner in his hand, this sea monster has already burst into tears. It's just that the man in her arms is just an ordinary person, and his 3 souls and 7 souls have long since left his body. No matter how she shouts, there will be no more response from. The giant Tree of Bitterness can be reincarnated to continue the relationship, but both parties need to respond to this feeling together. Once one party dies, it will be too late. Luo Tang sighed slightly in his heart. He had seen many joys and sorrows, but this was the first time he had seen such a scene. It was clearly the last hope, but when it arrived in Tu Shan, it became the greatest despair. Big brother. Tu Shan Yaya was the first to discover Luo Tang's existence, and trotted to his side to seek comfort. Tears welled up in a pair of big eyes, and the little fox demon was obviously very moved. It's just that she knows that it's too late. Big brother, is there any other way? There were teardrops in Yaya's eyes. The little girl was at a sentimental age, and she couldn't bear to see such a scene the most. Reincarnation of life and death, each has its destiny. Luo Tang sighed, and comforted Xiao Yaya with the words of the fox demon world. There is a law order in the world, especially in the world of reincarnation like the world of fox demons. Soul reincarnation is a kind of world law order. Although Luo Tang can use undead spells to forcibly pull the opponent out of the underworld, but the opponent will also become an undead. Not to mention him, would he have any opinions on the body of the undead? Is the sea monster really willing to let the lover go to reincarnation again? You know, as an undead, it has an almost endless lifespan. This kind of thing is not only destroying Tu Shan's job, but also destroying the existing order of the entire world. Pity. Xiao Yaya looked at the weeping siren with tears in her eyes. Gritting his teeth secretly, as if he had made up his mind, he took a step forward and stood in front of the Tree of Misery. The giant Tree of Bitterness, Tu Shan Yaya, am willing to swear with 90% of my demonic power, that I and Luo Tang big brother will live forever. Snap. Luo Tang slapped the little fox demon on the back of the head. Yaya staggered, and naturally couldn't continue the second half of the oath. Turning his head and puffing his face, he glared at Luo Tang angrily. Tu Shan glanced at this side and stopped paying attention. She knows better than anyone else the virtues of her little sister. It was just unexpected that Yaya would be willing to swear with 90% of her demonic power for Luo Tang. I have 3 souls and 7 souls, and I am not under the jurisdiction of this world. Reincarnation and fate are useless to me. Moreover, my lifespan is almost endless. Are you going to curse me to death first? Luo Tang rubbed his little head for Yaya. Looking at the dull expression on his face, he was angry and funny in his heart. She actually wants to reincarnate with him to continue her fate. What is this little girl thinking about all day long? What? Yaya blushed, like a frightened rabbit, and ran away without a trace. The little girl was shy in her heart, but now she dared not look at Luo Tang again. Second sister made you worry. Tu Shan Hong's voice came faintly. Fine. Luo Tang took a look and was still standing beside the siren. Tu Shan Yaya and Tu Shan Rongrong, who were waiting with her, sighed in their hearts. Should he find a time and learn an orthodox spiritual technique? Simply recruit the soul, complete the reincarnation, and let the other party leave. Not so much trouble anymore. Mao Shan's spells seem to have this ability. If this spell is added, Tu Shan will probably be much better off. Luo Tang muttered something in his heart, and jumped directly into the ground station. Walking into the space gate, as soon as the screen turned, he returned directly to the travel agency. My Lord Supreme. Do you want albedo? A whine sounded like a cuckoo crying blood came from Luo Tang's side. Before he could react, albedo slipped into his arms. The tears in the golden eyes rolled down like a big river breaking its embankment, and the 2 tear marks on her pretty face proved that she had cried several times. Good boy, how could I not want you? Luo Tang passed away the tears on albedo's face. My heart is both distressed and speechless. He wondered, what happened to the girl next to him today? A tearful competition? My lord. Albedo's eyes are blurred, and the IQ of a woman who is madly in love will always plummet. Just touching the head and aiming at the back. immediately relieved from that heartbroken mood. Beep woo, beep woo, beep woo, shrill sirens sounded over New York. Luo Tang, who was comforting Albedo, frowned slightly. Under the operation of the heavens system, he instantly saw the huge space fleet outside the atmosphere. I really know how to choose the time. Luo Tang's face hurts. As the saying goes, a small farewell is better than a newlywed. After tasting it for the first time, and then saying goodbye directly for another day, he was very restless. If you bother him at this time, the death-defying ability of this alien fleet is nothing short of amazing. King Si Yan of Wakanda requests communication, whether to connect. Inquiry came from the heavens system. With one hand, Luo Tang drew the mysterious circle of light reaching the top of the Stark building, and with the other, he pressed his right ear to connect to the communication. Dear Mr. Luo, I have notified all the countries on Earth of this crisis. Do you need us to do anything else in Wakanda? The voice of the old king came. A hint of surprise flashed in Luo Tang's eyes. From the point of notifying countries around the world, it can be seen that Wakanda is ready to go global, and even prepare to disclose their technology to the world. This choice is more than 4 years earlier than the original work. If you have already decided, send your people to collect the space junk that fell from the sky. Okay, sir. Luo Tang hung up the communication and looked up at the fleet outside the atmosphere. Albedo stood behind him, looking at the alien fleet with unspeakable hatred. Just a little bit, she will be favored by the Supreme Being again. These damned maggots dare to spoil her good deed. Simply unforgivable. Luo Tang's eyes, through the atmosphere, looked at the approaching Chitauri Legion, put one hand on his right ear, and connected to Heimdall in Asgard through Bifrost. Because the space gem is in his hands, Thanos' fleet cannot travel through space and reach the Earth as in the original book. Therefore, the time for pre-war preparations is much more abundant than in the original book. Heimdall, how are Thor and Banner doing? Luo Tang asked directly. Thor has been able to stimulate the divine power in his body without using a hammer. Although he has not met your requirements, he has made great progress. Banner, Tony and the others have already defeated the Flame Titan Serta, and are now enjoying a celebration banquet in Asgard. Enjoy. Send them to Earth immediately. Hearing what Heimdall said, Luo Tang almost couldn't help swearing. What the hell? The Chitauri Legion under Thanos is on the doorstep, but you are having a banquet in Asgard. Is it true that being a father trains you so that you can enjoy life? Follow your wishes, Heimdall responded. A few seconds later, the first beam of Bifrost's light fell. Thor, who was covered in dust, as if he had just returned from digging coal, stood beside Luo Tang with a dazed expression. Hey, mentor, have I finished the trial? Before Thor finished speaking, the second beam of light from Bifrost fell. Thor, whose footing was unstable, staggered and almost fell directly from the top of the Stark building. Little Black Panther T'Challa, Iron Man Tony Stark, Captain America Steve, Green Titan Banner, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, and Hawkeye Barton came together. Compared to when I left the travel agency before, in less than half a month, earth-shaking changes took place in several people. The momentum is completely different from the original. Squeak. Tony Stark opened the helmet of Mark's armor. Looking at the familiar landscape around, listening to the sound of air defense sirens and emergency reports resounding throughout the city. He twisted his neck, restrained the cynical expression on his face, and spoke seriously. Guys, I guessed it right, it's time for us to go back. Quote. Phew. I've been waiting for a long time. Captain America Steve picks up the vibranium shield on the back. T'Challa stared at the sky, silently equipped with the Black Panther armor. Banner roared and turned into a Green Titan Hulk. Natasha Romanoff took a step forward, ice wrapped around her fingertips. Hawkeye picked up the longbow, took a deep breath, and prepared for battle. Slap. Luo Tang clapped his hands, attracting everyone's attention. Listen well. I will impose a dark energy shield on you, so that you can move freely in space. This time, I ask you to block them from the atmosphere. Guaranteed to complete the mission. Yes, sir. No problem. Although the voices of everyone's answers were not uniform, their momentum was surprisingly high. Luo Tang used the heavens system to add a layer of dark energy shields for everyone, and then waved to open a mysterious circle of light. This aperture leads directly to the command ship of the Chitauri Legion. Even they can already see the other side of the aperture. A few Chitauri warriors suddenly raised their guns. Superior. Captain America let out a low cry, carried the vibranium shield on his shoulders, and rushed in directly. Not to be outdone, Iron Man and Hulk followed closely behind, and immediately began to wreak havoc on the Chitauri command ship. Mentor, my hammer. When Thor was about to rush through the light gate, he suddenly thought of Mjolnir. Anyway, when fighting, if he doesn't have a weapon, his ability to kill with one blow is limited after all. Snap. Luo Tang snapped his fingers, and Mjolnir came out directly from the washbasin-sized mystical aperture. Good man. Mentor. Watch me act. Thor weighed the hammer, said a word to Luo Tang full of confidence, and rushed directly into the circle of light. Don't ask me to save you for a while. Luo Tang picked his ears and said in a rather speechless voice. Standing beside him, Albedo, who had been ignored because the battle was approaching, spoke softly. Are they your subordinates here? Almost. Luo Tang nodded. Nick Fury only followed him, Tony Stark regarded him as a savior and life guide, and Natasha Romanoff also had a good relationship with him, and the little Black Panther obeyed him unconditionally. The whole Avengers, isn't he just going to do whatever he wants? Chi. Without waiting for Albedo to say anything, a mysterious aperture appeared behind the two of them. Luo, I sensed Morton's breath, but I couldn't find him. The Ancient One magician stepped out of the aperture, with a rare solemnity on his face. He didn't come back for you. Not at all. Well, I have a bad feeling. Luo Tang frowned. Under the cover of dark energy, the Heavens system instantly obtained global monitoring data. They also invaded alien warships and obtained monitoring data of alien warships. But still can't find Mordo. Modu's original strength is not really a fox. But the particularity of the space shuttle of secret magic makes a secret magician almost have the ability to change the entire battle situation. Modu's character is not bad. Ancient One magician frowned. Based on her understanding of Mordo would never help outsiders invade the Earth. But the uneasiness in her heart told her that the situation this time might be really bad. Among the Ancient One magician, infinite gems, there is a mind gem. Luo Tang pouted, but he knew it very well. As long as Loki and Thanos meet, Tien will probably get a psychic scepter. Not to mention that Modu is already at the stage of doubting his life. Even if he doesn't, the power of the scepter is not something the other party can resist. The Ancient One magician's breathing was slightly stagnant. Rubbing the eye of Agamotto on her forehead with one hand, the worry on her face became more intense. She is almost sure. If Modu is controlled, and the situation above is in a bad situation, an even bigger army will descend on the battlefield in the next moment. Even, the man behind the scenes who controls everything will come in person. At that time, even if this battle is won, they will suffer heavy losses. Will Dormammu take the opportunity to make a comeback? Will demons from different spaces come out to make trouble? Ancient One magician, things are not as bad as you think. Luo Tang smiled, comforted Ancient One magician, put one hand on his right ear, and connected to Asgard again. But this time, instead of contacting Heimdall, the gatekeeper, he contacted Odin directly. Odin, you owe me a big favor this time. Loki made it big. Luo Tang's tone was somewhat speechless. He didn't expect at first that a mere Modu would make the situation so serious after being controlled. I can't repay Teacher Luo's favor, so why not give Asgard to you? Stop coming. You can take care of the mess yourself, and then draw me a small planet closer to the Earth, and I will do something. Mr. Luo, there is no problem with the resources of the 9 realms at your disposal. I hope you won't go back on your word. Luo Tang hung up the communication and looked at the magician on one side of his tongue. I will try my best to find Morton. He should be hiding in a different space to avoid the perception of the holy place. Ancient One magician said, she is very clear about what should be solved first. It's just that while the different space is full of dangers, it is also vast. She herself doesn't know when she will find Mordu. Okay. Then Modu will be handed over to you. Luo Tang nodded, took a step forward, and brought Albedo back to the travel agency. In space. Thor and others killed the quartet at the beginning, destroying several Chitauri Legion warships in one fell swoop. It's just when a person wearing a luxurious robe with a mummified face appears. Thor and the others fell into a hard fight in an instant. Ebony Maw, one of Thanos' Black Orders, and the smartest among them. Not only has super language control ability, but also can easily control everything around with ideas. Thor was imprisoned in the alloy of the alien spacecraft as soon as he met him. Although his will is firm and able to resist Ebony Maw's verbal control, the danger that is approaching every step of the way still makes him flustered. Iron Man Tony Stark is being dragged by what seems to be an endless stream of spaceships. Black Panther T'Challa Jr. and Captain America Steve were trapped in the hold of the command ship by human sea tactics. Green Titan Hulk has gone crazy, and can only see warships being destroyed in the distance. There is no hope at all. Natasha Romanoff and Hawkeye Barton tried to support but could barely hold Ebony Maw down. It is obviously not something that can be done in a short while if you want to solve the opponent and rescue Thor. I heard that you special blue star has a fellow known as the Master of the Nine Realms. Ebony Maw walked with self-confessed graceful steps, his hands seemed to be dancing, and easily resisted Hawkeye's arrow. Every piece of spaceship alloy under his feet has become his shield. All materials have become sharp blades in his hands. Even if Natasha Romanoff expends his physical strength to carry out space raids, he will be blocked by him every time. Apparently, Ebony Maw has seen through Natasha Romanoff's attack style. If the mentor comes, you are already dead. Thor's cheeks were flushed, and he tried hard to break free. But Ebony Maw's control locked almost all his joints, making it very difficult for him to exert strength. Death is never something to be feared, face death with a smile. Ebony Maw raised an index finger and put it gently on the side of his mouth, with a piercing smile on his face. Kai, pissed. A palm-sized space wormhole appeared behind Ebony Maw. A sharp blade shining with silver light directly pierced the opponent's heart. Damn it. Who the hell did you stab with my old lady's sword? Why does this blood stink? A criminal pretending to be X. Luo Tang's voice came faintly. Luo Tang, Liang Bing, Hexy, Keisha, and Albedo walked out of the space wormhole that had been expanded dozens of times. Precise positioning, daily hit kills. Luo Tang kicked Ebony Maw, who was exhaling more air than inhaling, and looked at Thor, who had just been unshackled. It's too embarrassing. After finishing the fight, go to the neutron star reactor to continue practicing. When Thor heard that he was going back to the Nadavi neutron star reactor, the smile he just showed froze on his face. That neutron star core reactor is not so hot. In the past half-month, he thought that he might die there several times. After half a month of hard work, I finally thought that I could do it. With such a small mistake, I have to go back again? Oh my god, kill him, this day can't be passed. No one can stop our army. When Thanos comes, you shall perish. Ebony Maw stretched his neck, held his last breath, and finished his last words. With a relaxed smile on his face, he seemed to feel no pain at all, waiting for death to come. He did what he said, smile, face death, almost forgot you were still useful. Luo Tang raised his brows, and threw out a ball of dark green new elemental energy body with a flick of his hand, hanging Ebony Maw's life. This new green element was extracted from Groot last time. Named the element of life. Although I still haven't been able to figure out how to integrate the genes in the body. But in use, the effect is comparable to any panacea. As long as the energy is strong enough, even with only one breath left, Luo Tang can save people back. Ebony Maw looked at the slowly healing wound on his chest with a dazed expression. I thought I was going to die, but now I can't even die. Thor, go and dispose of the garbage outside. Luo Tang waved his hand at Thor, who was in a daze, and turned his head to look kindly at Ebony Maw. As the Black Order of Thanos, the actual commander of this operation. There's no way Ebony Maw doesn't know where Loki and Mordo are. Heaven. Analyze the genes and abilities of Ebony Maw, and prohibit the other party from using any abilities. Luo Tang ordered in his heart. Be careful making the 10,000-year ship face tricky old guys like Ebony Maw. He doesn't want to be fooled by the other party for a careless thought. Analyze the target gene. 1.10% of the gene analysis. Analysis is completed. Analyze the target ability 10%. 0.100%. The anti-spiritual barrier is set up, and the anti-dark energy barrier is set up. In just a few seconds, a barrier shining with white light wrapped Luo Tang and Ebony Maw in it. Ebony Maw's complexion changed instantly, and there was a sound of clanging metal landing behind him. His Jedi counterattack, before it even started, was stillborn. Spiritual strength is strong, which proves that the brain domain is strong, that is, the energy fields of Tianchong's soul and Lingui's soul are strong, very good ability. Luo Tang praised the other party. Ebony Maw is actually a magician-type hero, even without the ability of singing in occult magic. Let it have the strength stronger than most secret magicians. It's just that this guy's physique is average, and his weakness is too obvious. Once ability is targeted, there is no power to resist. With a bit of coldness in his eyes, Luo Tang stepped on the Ebony Maw and asked again. Where are Loki and Mordo? What do you think? I'll tell you. Death to me. Pissed. Luo Tang raised his hand to capture the long sword in Liang Bing's hand, and pierced the opponent's lower abdomen with one sword. Ebony Maw's face is distorted in pain. He is not afraid of death, but he is so afraid of pain. Damn, use my sword again. Liang Bing looked at the empty palm. I can be as restless as I want. Hexy and Keisha beside her subconsciously hid their weapons backwards. The body of the alien in front of me does not know what kind of structure it is, and the smell of blood is really disgusting. Albedo raised her eyes and looked at Liang Bing several times. She can clearly judge the difference between the Supreme Venerable and this female angel. But command the devil, fight with death, and command the holy angel at the same time. As expected of the Supreme Lord, Albedo looked at Luo Tang's back with admiration. Glancing at the stiff-mouthed ebony maw lying on the ground, she spoke with a perverted smile. My lord, let me torture you for you. Although my methods may not be as good as the terrorists, the other party should not be a stubborn person. Huh. Okay, you come. Luo Tang nodded, and there were two reasons why Albedo spoke at this time. One is that there are too many angel girls around him. This girl has a sense of crisis of being afraid of being replaced, and tries hard to show her own value. The second is that the arrival of Ebony Ma just now directly ruined her good deeds. Luo Tang returned the long sword in his hand to Liang Bing, waved to the three of them, and walked out of the Chitori Legion command ship head-on. Albedo's body is a devil. How could a normal person accept her method of torture? You pay me for my sword. Liang Bing followed behind Luo Tang with a displeased face. Ebony Ma's blood is too dirty for her to bear. That feeling is like using her angel long sword as a crapstick. It's a full 2 times. Stingy, I'll send it to you later. Luo Tang waved his hand and said nonchalantly. How about that black sword? I don't think you often use it. Dreamworker. It has not been a day or two since Lingbing hit Luo Tang's black sword Yingo. From the very beginning of the implicit inquiry to the present, it has not concealed its true purpose at all. This girl's face is getting thicker and thicker. After Luo Tang created black sword Ying Huo, he only used it once. And that time, with a simple stab of the sword, Kirin was directly separated by an unknown number of galaxies. He said a long time ago that if the ability of this sword is exposed, there will be countless defenders in an instant, and they will come out under various banners to snatch it. This is not a joke. Black sword Yingo, so strong that even the Luo Tang can't understand it. Even the Heavens system has deduced for a long time, but still can't figure out the reason for its ability to appear. Cut, stingy. Liang Bing said the same words to Luo Tang, but there was no hint of disappointment in his eyes. After all, she has failed too many times, and she has long been used to it. She suppressed a smile in her eyes. Standing on the crumbling command ship, she directly took out the newly forged weapon. Fate. Keisha didn't say a word, glanced at the two of them, and took out the silver wing directly. In comparison, with only a long sword on the ice, at the moment looks extremely shabby. What are you looking at? If it weren't for building the battleships and supercomputing groups of the heavens for you, I would have new weapons. Liang Bing said angrily. Originally, although Keisha was the head of the 3 angel kings, their treatment was similar. It is impossible that Hexi and Keisha have new weapons, but she is the only one left behind. It's just that weapons of this level are quite laborious for the angel civilization to build. In the case of the resource scheduling priority of the warships and the supercomputing groups of the heavens. At least she said that she would have to wait a year or so until the completion of the All-Heaven battleship and the All-Heaven supercomputing group before she could start casting her own weapons. In the future, I will tailor a weapon for you. I will lend you this sword first. Luo Tang touched the tip of his nose, raised his hand and took out the sword of vowed victory in the system warehouse. As an A++ level treasure, if the sword of vowed victory is used well, dealing with these Chitori Legion battleships is no different from cutting melons and vegetables. It's just that it's hard to say whether cold ice can be used well. By using it? Is this sword so strong? Liang Bing took the sword of vowed victory with a baby face. Although she said that Luo Tang was stingy, she didn't think so at all in her heart. After all, the battle armors on the 3 sisters were all given by others. How can Luo Tang be stingy to send out this kind of armor that can't even be damaged by star-killing weapons? Moreover, the reason why the strength of the angel civilization has improved so quickly has a lot to do with the technology provided by the other party. Luo Tang is so generous to the 3 sisters. Even Liang Bing sometimes doubts whether the 3 sisters are being taken care of by each other. Keisha and Hexi, at the moment, also looked at the sword of vowed victory in Lingbing's hand. To be able to make Luo Tang say it is just to borrow such words, originally has proved the power of this sword. The power rule above, I haven't finished analyzing it yet. Luo Tang shook his head and explained. Although the sword of vowed victory is precious for him, as long as the analysis is completed, there will only be commemorative significance in the last expectation for his integration with Avalon. The X level, the sword of vowed victory with 13 restraints, is what really makes him greedy. What's its name and how does it work? Liang Bing held the sword of vowed victory, with a strong curiosity on her pretty face. Let me open the dark data for you. Luo Tang scratched the tip of his nose, opened the dark data, and passed the information about the sword of vowed victory to Liang Bing. The sword of vowed victory, forged by the planet instead of human beings, uses people's beliefs as raw materials. If you want to use it, you must first ensure your quality and get the approval of the sword. Secondly, when using it, you must highly condense your spirit and spirit to communicate with the sword. This kind of thing is complicated to say, but in fact, if it is explained from a scientific point of view, the dark energy wave frequency of your soul and body must be consistent with the sword. The fit is high. Just like Artoria, you don't need to chant, you can cut it directly. If the degree of compatibility is low, it must be chanted. Through chanting and frequency modulation, the purpose of matching its power is achieved. Liang Bing studied the sword of vowed victory with great interest. Ebony Ma's wailing and howling came from the command ship cabin behind. You know, Luo Tang stabbed Ebony Ma twice, although the opponent's face was distorted in pain, but he didn't make a sound. It can be seen how cruel Albedo's methods are. After a while, the screams stopped abruptly, ending Albedo, who was killed by Ebony Ma. With a swaying figure, he walked out of the ship cabin. My lord, their plan has been revealed. Loki and Modu have gone to the military nuclear weapon reserve bases of various countries in an attempt to use psychic scepters to control nuclear weapons around the world. According to the other side, they must first teach the Earthlings a lesson. After that, Modu will use secret magic to open hundreds of space channels at a time, and send the Vanguard directly to the surface. According to the time, they are about to start action. Albedo softly reported the results of the torture. Only Loki and Mordo. No, there is also a woman named Xingyun. Luo Tang nodded slightly. Because Thanos knows that the Earth has his reasons, this time the tentative attack is obviously more cautious than in the original book. Not only has Ebony Ma from the Black Order been sent, but also his daughter Nebula has been sent. Ebony Ma is in charge of the overall situation of the fleet, and Nebula is responsible for restraining Loki. If they really let their plan proceed smoothly, then it will be quite a trouble. But what is interesting is that the third princess, Loki, has released the water again. Loki, who has been in a travel agency for a while, knows quite well that Luo Tang can control the global weapon launch system in a short period of time. A lesson for the people on Earth? Are you sure it's not a blatant tip-off? Loki, your third lesson, the teacher has already thought about it. Luo Tang's mouth curled into a smile. Loki, the gift boy, got into trouble this time, but it did bring him a lot of money. A planet that can be justified and used to toss freely, and the mind gem in infinite gems. His efforts are insignificant compared to what he has gained. However, Nebula. Luo Tang frowned slightly when he thought of that blue whizzing woman. If Xingju is the blame man of Avengers Alliance 3, the blame man of Avengers Alliance 4 is undoubtedly Xingyun. While this woman is pitiful, she is also somewhat hateful. Moreover, in this time period, the other party is 100% Thanos' loyal dogleg. They're starting to move. Keisha's eyes were covered with white light. With the assistance of the Skyblade system, she can easily see the current situation of the Earth. Almost half of the nuclear weapons bases have already fallen into the control of Loki and others. Leave it to me. There was a faint smile on the corner of Hexie's mouth. Under the extremely fast operation of the space-based system, in just a moment, before Loki and others could react, they took over the global weapon launch system. 66666 The United States Harbor Nuclear Base. Loki looked at the system has been invaded prompt on the operation screen, and a smile flashed across his face. In an instant, he pretended to be panic-stricken, and spoke to Xing Yun. Damn. My mentor has spotted us. He has taken over all weapon delivery systems. Since he has such an ability, why didn't you say it before? There was a dangerous gleam in Nebula's eyes. I thought your fleet was strong enough. Didn't Ebony Ma say that? My mentor can only die when facing him. Loki put on an exasperated expression. The expression mixed with fear and panic made Xingyun subconsciously believe him. Start directly to the second ring of the plan. Modu, quickly open your damn aperture. I don't want any more accidents. Loki looked at Mordo with blue eyes shining. Modu closed his eyes without saying a word, kept his magic power stable with his left hand, and kept drawing circles with his right hand. One after another, mysterious magic circles began to appear all over the world. New York, London, Hong Kong, Africa, Europe. The three holy places of Kamar Taj are taken care of. Almost all densely populated cities around the world have huge golden halos. Mordo, but he has the occult magic attainments that are not inferior to Doctor Strange. It's just that it's slightly inferior to Doctor Strange in the flexibility of using secret magic. It's just that there are less than 100 space channels connected to the Earth. This kind of thing can't trouble him at all. 66666 Standing on the battleship of the Chitauri Legion, Luo Tang narrowed his eyes and quickly found Modu, who was casting a spell. The fluctuation of secret magic revealed the opponent's location. Similarly, at this time, the Ancient One magician should have also noticed it. Kesha, Lingbing, Hexi, ready to start. Luo Tang raised his left hand, and for the first time made a standard occult magic gesture. Chi, 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 chi. Under the precise locking of the heavens system, he quickly locked the location of each secret magic space channel. At a speed far exceeding Modu, overlap your own space channel with the opponent's. And lock the final destination directly above the Chitauri Legion. The vanguards of the Golden Halo rushed in, like rain, falling from directly above the Chitauri Legion. The entire battlefield became chaotic countless times in an instant. The two legions under Thanos, each possesses a powerful combat ability. Chitauri Legion. Possessing cutting-edge technological weapons, their bodies are half mechanical and half organic. All combat units are controlled by the core of the mothership, and they don't know how to retreat at all. The huge Leviathan biological behemoth can destroy a space battleship by itself. And here, there are thousands of them. Vanguard. No eyes, but 4 arms. Li Dawu moves swiftly, not only can hide from the ground, but also can read the opponent's mind in the battle. They are not afraid of death, and even regard death as their lifelong pursuit. What's more terrible, these things cultivated by Thanos have the ability to survive in space for a short time. The two armies gathered together, and the Avengers, who were already fighting hard because of the opponent's crowd tactics, changed their complexion wildly. Oh, Potts must have no idea what I'm going through. Tony Stark looked suspiciously at the enemies who had more than tripled in size, and felt that this battle was really impossible to fight. God. I feel like I'm going to be here today, F*K. I haven't written my suicide note yet. Hawkeye Barton swallowed hard. Didn't you write the mission before? Natasha Romanoff made a line. That's different. Hawkeye had a bitter expression on his face. I don't care, I should have died long ago anyway. Captain America shrugged and clenched the vibranium shield in his hand. I think we should call for backup. It probably won't help. Little Black Panther T'Challa had an opinion, just his opinion, which obviously wasn't taken seriously. In the face of this overwhelming, countless enemies, Wakanda's combat power is just a drop in the bucket. Roar, a roar came, and everyone looked at the Green Titan Hulk, who had gone mad. In this situation, probably only Hulk is still fearless. Hey guys, I thought maybe we could try calling help? Thor knocked a Chitauri warrior over with a hammer, and raised his finger in the direction where Luo Tang was. Everyone looked at each other and nodded in unison. RO, mentor, help. Everyone shouted in unison. Luo Tang, who was far away on the command ship, slapped his forehead with one hand, feeling as much pain in his heart as he wanted. What a crime he committed to find these unreliable subordinates. Don't you know that sound cannot be effectively transmitted in a vacuum environment? Now that we can communicate, I opened the dark energy communication for you. Luo Tang gritted his teeth and said, Dark energy communication? What's that? Captain America Steve asked in a daze. You can understand it as a wireless voice call. Tony Stark's eyebrows almost knit together. Made. I was a little flustered just now, he actually made such a common sense mistake. That is to say, we are shouting into Mr. Luo's ear? Hawkeye Barton grinned. Probably so. Little Black Panther T'Challa said in a heartless voice. He already had a premonition that even if the alien fleet was repulsed this time, their life in the future would become quite miserable. Boom. Dazzling flames came from the battlefield on the other side. The Green Titan Hulk, under the siege of many Zeta Swiss soldiers and vanguards, angrily demolished a battleship again. It's just that more and more soldiers and vanguards rushed up. Even him, he looks like he's about to be swallowed up. It's your turn to play. Luo Tang raised his right hand and swiped in the air. A mysterious magic circle more than 10 meters wide appeared behind them. Surrounded by silver wings, Kesha walked towards the center of the battlefield calmly. Hexi stood on the left side of Kesha, with one hand raised in the air, 3 feet above the fingertips, and the starlife spun continuously. Liang Bing curled her lips, held the sword of vowed victory, and looked at the alien monster in front of her with displeasure. The 3 of them walked in the air, and the gravity-free state of space did not affect them in the slightest. Angel. This is the existence that can fly freely in the universe. Behind the 3 of them, a steady stream of constantly angel legions stepped out of the golden halo. This time, Kesha and the others directly brought 80% of the fighters from the entire Mei Luo Tian family here. Only a small amount of defensive power is left. With the background and strength of angel civilization, they are not afraid of any enemies. More and more angels walked out of the Golden Light Gate with neat steps. The ever-expanding number of people made Tony, Steve and others' faces full of horror and disbelief. Perfect cheeks, slim figure, and waving snow-white wings. The shocking feeling of tens of thousands of angels appearing together is far more than what one or two angels can bring. The blue planet under our feet is being invaded by these villains in the universe. This battle is to defend life. Gentlemen, draw your sword. Keisha's voice is full of majesty belonging to the King of Angels. Tens of thousands of angels lined up with swords in hand. The mask on the helmet was put down, and a breath of a strong army that had experienced many battles went straight to the Chittori Legion in the vanguard. Kill. Keisha waved her wings and rushed towards the Chittori Legion at top speed. The silver wing split into pieces of dark silver sessile blade, causing a storm among the Chittori Legion. The corner of Hexie's mouth curled into a slight smile. With a flick of her fingertips, under her control, Starlife instantly pierced through a giant Leviathan creature. Damn. How can the compatibility between my old lady and this thing be so low? FM. Liang Bing swears and curses in his mouth, but his actions are not slow at all. Raising the sword of the Oath of Victory with both hands, a golden beam of light shot up into the sky, striking down at the Chittori army. Angels' three kings showed their might, and many angels also rose in momentum. Has experienced the Battle of the Raging Sea and the Battle of Kamigawa. The warriors of the angel civilization are elite fighters who have experienced many battles. With his honed combat skills, coupled with the physical strength of the second-generation fighters, even in the Marvel Universe, he can be called a powerful fighter. 66666 on the Earth. Ancient One magician just captured Loki, Mordo and Nebula. Looking up at the battlefield outside the atmosphere, she couldn't help but stare slightly. The strength of the Angel Legion really exceeded her expectations. Especially the Angel Three Kings. This wave destroys space battleships and captures the power of countless Thanos fighters. I am afraid that in the universe, they are all well-known powerhouses. Is it Roman magician invited from another world? Fighting for life, that's a great idea. The Ancient One magician let out an admiration. Turning her head to look at the unconscious Modu, she couldn't help but sighed softly. If you compare people, you will die. If you compare goods, you will throw them away. Even with her state of mind, after meeting Luo Tang, she felt that at the moment's Modu was not enough. And even the future Stephen Strange is far behind Itang. Can they really protect the holy place in the Eye of Agamotto? ***** among Asgard. The king of God Odin, who was originally nervous because of the appearance of the vanguard. After seeing the Angel Legion, he breathed a sigh of relief. Mysterious, powerful, beautiful, full of sense of justice. If such a powerful army appeared in the hands of other people, he might have trouble sleeping and eating all day long. He is very fortunate that it is Luo who owns it. And Luo is the master of the 9 realms. He is also the only one he appointed to take care of Asgard. When the eternal fire burns in Asgard, Lo will bring rebirth to Asgard. Odin solemnly said something to the Queen of Heaven, Frigga, and turned to walk towards his treasure house. A planet, in his heart, cannot express his gratitude to Luo Tang at all. Luo Tang sat on the edge of the crumbling command ship deck, with a panoramic view of the huge battlefield. Albedo stood dignifiedly behind her, like a well-behaved maid, waiting for her master's order without saying a word. A giant Leviathan creature, away from the battlefield, slowly came to Luo Tang. Albedo was about to make a move, but was stopped by Luo Tang. In the semi-mechanical body of the Leviathan bio-behemoth, the mechanical components are quickly twisted and reorganized. Thanos' projection is presented, in front of the command ship. Master of the 9 realms, Luo. Thanos in the video speaks slowly. With his chin resting on his hands, a cruel smile appeared on his purple cheeks. Pure electronic projection. It's a pity. Luo Tang held the deck with one hand, and there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Although compared to the original book, Thanos' attack this time has been quite cautious. But to be honest, whether it is the Chittori Legion or the Vanguard, they can only be regarded as cannon fodder. True elite, there is only one Ebony Maw. But that guy has a high IQ, but he likes to make a fool of himself. Directly waved himself to death. It seems that you have the means to kill the enemy at a very long distance. In Thanos' gloomy eyes, there is no haze of defeat in the war at all. For him, these subordinates are dead. As long as his purpose is achieved, it is enough. Originally, this attack was to test the Earth in the name of helping Loki regain the inheritance rights of Asgard. Now, he thinks that he already has enough understanding. That's not important. I heard you're looking for infinite gems? Luo Tang shrugged and changed the subject directly. So what? You don't even have an infinite gems yet, right? What do you want to say? If you want to deal with infinite gems, you can only use infinite gems. Soul Gem is on Vormir Star. If you want to deal with me, I will wait for you. Infinite gems, can only infinite gems be used to deal with? Thanos narrowed his eyes slightly, and when he heard the news of Soul Gem, his eyes flickered with emotion. Although wondering why Luo Tang told him the news. But he is more curious, why infinite gems can only use infinite gems to deal with this. Looking good. A smile curled up on the corner of Luo Tang's mouth, and he patted his butt and got up from the edge of the command ship deck. Take out the space gem from the system warehouse. He stared closely at the remaining 800 Leviathan creature giants in the distance. These huge gadgets caused a lot of damage to the angels. If you don't deal with it early, I'm afraid many people will die later. Angels, stay away from the giant Leviathan creatures, I'm going to zoom in. Luo Tang's voice sounded lightly in Angel's dark communication network. As the male god of Tianji Wang Hexi, Mei Luo is a special existence in the Tian court, and his identity has long been known to all angels. And through the previous battle of Kamigawa, the angels also learned about his strength. Hearing his words, all angels immediately chose to stay away from the giant beast. Regardless of status or strength, Luo Tang has the qualifications to order them. Heaven, with the power of the space gem, define the space sequence, perform space folding, target the Leviathan biological monster. Space gem energy connection is successful, lock Leviathan biological giants, redefine space, space definition is completed, open space folding. With the engine of the heavens running, the space gem in Luo Tang's hand emitted a strong blue light. That dazzling brilliance seemed to light up the entire universe. Buzz, bum, bum, the space of the entire battlefield is trembling crazily. A locked Leviathan biological monster was squeezed and crushed under the fold of space. A total of more than 800 giant beasts turned into cosmic garbage in just a few seconds. The actions of the angels froze, looking at the minced meat mixed with mechanical fragments. The faces under the helmets were filled with unconcealable shock. They have personally fought against the giant Leviathan creature, and they know how difficult this kind of thing is. But now, more than 800 giant beasts have been wiped out in the blink of an eye. This kind of space attack beyond the norm is even somewhat incomprehensible to them. There was a brief stagnation on the battlefield. Even the brave Chitauri Legion and the vanguard who regard death as their destination were shocked by the scene in front of them. This is not the power that humans can possess, it should belong to the gods. Damn. What kind of evil new method is this? Liang Bing shook off the bloodstains on the sword of promised victory, and looked at the collapsed Leviathan creature, feeling somewhat out of breath. The three of them have been constantly improving their strength. But this strength that makes them proud seems to be completely vulnerable to Luo Tang. Space folding, a space technology similar to the interior of the ground station, a space concept strike. She opened his mouth lightly, with a bit of pride subconsciously in his eyes. Her male god is very strong. The giant Leviathan beside Luo Tang faithfully recorded the scene in front of him. Thanos, who is far away by hundreds of millions, holds the armrest of the throne tightly with one hand, crushing it into powder 5. Infinite gems, can only be fought by infinite gems? Although Thanos didn't speak, the expression on the video projection clearly reflected what he was thinking. The corners of Luo Tang's mouth curved slightly, and he raised his chin at Albedo beside him. Swish. Albedo, who was originally elegant and gentle, completed the change of clothes in an instant. Artifact level 3 layer armor, worn by Hermes Trismegistes. The dark and ferocious armor, from the inside to the outside, reveals an eerie aura. The murderous aura on Albedo's body suddenly exploded, and with a single-bladed giant axe in her hand, she swung the axe and slashed at the giant Leviathan creature. Squeak. The skeletal body of outside the steel was split in two with an axe. Albedo, who is as high as level 100, takes a shot, and the Leviathan creature monster can be formed in one blow. Holding the long-handled axe that was still bleeding, Albedo turned her head to look at the central station. Albedo. Luo Tang opened his mouth and stopped Albedo, who was furiously fighting. This girl's murderous look is basically the same as that of humans and animals. Except for her companions in the great underground tomb of Nazarick, I'm afraid she would chop down anyone she saw with an axe. Luo Tang doesn't want Angel to die soon, it's all killed by Albedo. My Lord Supreme. Albedo murmured, the armor on her body dissipated, and she jumped back behind Luo Tang. With her murderous aura restrained, she regained her elegant and gentle appearance. I think, if I don't upgrade my mark armor, it will be hacked to death. Tony Stark swallowed, and looked at Albedo, full of horror. The members of the Avengers, except Hulk, who is crazy, the others, almost think the same way. Who would have thought that the woman I saw in the Stark building would have such strength? With such strength, if any one of them confronts alone, I'm afraid it will be cool. After a few seconds of silence on the battlefield, it erupted again. Luo Tang stood on the broken command ship with a bright smile on his face. He must collect all 6 infinite gems. That soul gem is a bit different, the requirement to obtain it is really too cheating. Only by sacrificing the person you care about the most can soul gem resonate. Let Thanos play this kind of sacrificial gameplay. He just needs to wait for Thanos to bring the soul gem over, and he can kill Thanos. The battle on the battlefield is still going on. But without the most threatening Leviathan creature, the war has turned into a one-sided situation. In addition to the Vanguard, it only has the ability to survive in space for a short time. Over time, they can only float in space and be slaughtered by Angel. I'm Hulk. A roar sounded from the dark communication channel. Although Luo Tang turned down the audio specifically for Hulk, it was still deafening. I'm still Groot. Luo Tang muttered, and looked at Hulk, who was gradually approaching the indistinguishable Hulk. Heaven, analyze the target gene and suppress it at the genetic level. The analysis is complete. Gene suppression is turned on 1%, 0.5%, 0.10%. Hulk, who was originally irritable, stood on the spot with a dazed expression under the pressure of the heavens. The bulging muscles on his body seemed to have shrunk, shrinking rapidly, and directly returned to the appearance of Bruce Banner. How are you feeling, Dr. Banner? Little Black Panther T'Challa flashed to Bruce Banner's side. It's never been better. Well, I think Hulk was afraid of something just now. Bruce Banner looked at his hands with a puzzled look on his face. He could feel that the invincible Hulk seemed to feel fear from the bottom of his heart just now. Let him easily take over the body again. The people of Avengers, looking at the universe, there are no more Chitauri Legion fighters and vanguards, with a relieved expression on their faces. And the soldiers of the Angel civilization have quickly begun to clean up the battlefield. After fighting for thousands of years, they know very well what the first thing to do after the war is over. Keisha, Hexi, and Lingbing flew back to Luo Tang. Thanos has too many subordinates. Tens of thousands of angels often need to fight against many. Many people were injured in this battle, but no one died. Luo Tang has been watching the battlefield on the command ship. Whenever there is a danger of death, he will rescue him. He brought the angels here after all, and he doesn't want anyone to die. It's just this move that obviously made him recognized by more people among the angels. Some little angels at the moment looked into his eyes, as much admiration as possible. For the grace of saving lives, even if they don't have the chance to promise themselves, they can still fantasize about it for themselves. This is the most perfect male god in the known universe according to King Tianji. Can I learn the trick you used before? After Liang Bing returned to Luo Tang, he immediately threw back the sword of vowed victory. This sword is obviously not compatible with her. Although it is powerful, it is exhausting every time I use it. Yes, but it may be somewhat contrary to your angel's philosophy. Luo Tang raised his eyebrows. A strike at the space concept level at least needs to be driven by a sub-biological engine. This goes against Angel's philosophy. Before there is no threat from the power of killing gods, Nuoxing god of war, void engine and other things. Angel is against studying the void theory. After all, in Kesha's view, this theory of emptiness is a denial of life and a denial of justice and order. One day, the theory of the void will be popularized, and death will no longer be frightening. After death, consciousness still exists in another form. Then the good and evil, beauty and ugliness in this universe will lose their meaning. The order of justice is also meaningless in a world where there is no distinction between good and evil. Angel believes that life is beautiful and precious. So it is difficult for them to accept the void theory. Sub-biological engine, void engine, and anti-void engine, in the final analysis, are actually things born based on a theory. After loading, life will enter a nearly eternal state. Luo Tang turned on dark data. He passed on the theory of emptiness and conceptual knowledge he knew to Keisha, Lingbing, and Hexi. She frowned tightly. The knowledge Luo Tang gave her already exceeded the records in the database. Liang Bing rubbed his chin with one hand, looking thoughtful. On the contrary, Keisha's reaction was completely beyond Luo Tang's expectations. After briefly reading the information, she asked immediately. Why do you think, the void theory, and Angel's idea? Luo Tang was slightly taken aback. Lying in a big slot. At a time like this, shouldn't Kesha be cold-hearted and reprimand him? What kind of plane is this puzzled look? Good and beautiful things are worthy of respect and protection. Even the undead life in high latitudes, as long as they can be killed, they cannot interfere with Angel's philosophy. Keisha narrowed her eyes slightly and spoke confidently. A transcendent queenly aura filled her at the moment with a sense of pride and glamour. Luo Tang was speechless for a moment, his mind was spinning 1,000 times, and he instantly figured out what was going on. All because of the anti-void concept. The original Keisha didn't know the existence of the anti-void concept at all. After all, at the beginning, even the concept of void, everyone looked like they were crossing the river by feeling the stones. Infinite, unkillable life makes Angel doubt their philosophy. Doubt whether the beauty they pursue is meaningless. But as long as it can be killed, life is always afraid of death, and all the beauty and goodness that are opposed to ugliness and evil have the meaning of protection. Maid, I'm worried for nothing. Luo Tang curled his lips and couldn't help but groan in his heart. He casually passed on the knowledge of sub-biological engines, void engines, and anti-void engines to Shaw, Liang Shui, and Hexi. Without void particles, the three of them could at most create a sub-biological engine. And for him, the stronger the three of them are, the stronger the power in his hands will naturally be. Favorability is a thing, unless it is full, it will always change. Hexi has already reached full capacity, needless to say, the other two have also changed a lot during this time. Cold ice, favorability, 91, Keisha, favorability, minus 30/97. Luo Tang is not at all surprised that the favorability of Lingbing can reach 90. After all, during this period of time, he has spent a lot of time on this girl. And Keisha's favorability has also improved a lot. Although sometimes I still have some opinions on Luo Tang, but the bright 97 is far from the full value, and it is only the last drop. Gained almost leaping knowledge. Keisha, Lingbing, and Hexi couldn't wait to go back. After leaving some angels to assist Luo Tang with follow-up matters, they left in a hurry. You don't need to think about it all, then they will definitely use the big clock and the 3 supercomputing groups to collectively calculate this knowledge. I am high-level Angel Ronning, if you have any requirements, you can tell me everything. An angel with a slender figure and a long face flew to Luo Tang and reported his name. Well, let's deal with the battlefield first. Luo Tang responded and decisively avoided the other party's gaze. After seeing Runing's rebellion, she looked like an old woman. To be honest, he really couldn't look directly at Ronning. After avoiding Tien Ronning, he directly connected to the king of God Odin in Asgard. Odin, is my planet selected? Luo, Proxima Centauri, Barnard Star, Wolf Star, Lalandi Star, I think they can all meet your requirements. When Odin's voice came, he basically talked about the planets that are relatively close to the Earth and have a good environment. Among them, the closest one is naturally Proxima Centauri. But on this planet, civilization once existed. It's just that later this civilized person killed himself. Star Barnard is also good, but the indigenous civilization has already been born there, and he really has no idea of choosing a place to be the emperor of the land. The remaining planets are a bit far away for him. After all, even the nearest Proxima Centauri has been removed from the solar system. Just Proxima Centauri. After deliberating for a while, Luo Tang chose the nearest Proxima Centauri. As you wish. Luo, I have one more thing that I want to give you. What? As soon as Luo Tang finished speaking, Bifrost's divine light fell from the sky. The Queen of Heaven, Frigga, appeared in front of him holding a treasure box that was more than 3 feet long and looked unusually heavy. Mother. Thor saw the appearance of Frigga, the Queen of Heaven, his eyes were full of excitement. Turning into lightning, he appeared directly beside Frigga. Son, your performance is very good. Both your father and I have seen it. The Queen of Heaven, Frigga, is as gentle and virtuous as ever. The combination of the Queen's grace and maternal brilliance has made many people feel from the bottom of their hearts that she is indeed the beloved wife of the King of God Odin. Mother, I miss you very much. Me too, but now I still have important things to do. Can we wait for a while to reminisce about the old days? Definitely, Queen Mother. Thor looked at the box in his mother's arms. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that his mother didn't come for him this time. He had only seen the contents of this box twice when he entered the treasure house. Even his father cared about him exceptionally. It's just unexpected that at the moment's mother would bring it, as if she wanted to give it to her mentor. Mr. Luo, I am very grateful for this incident. After the day, Frigga came to Luo Tang holding the treasure box, squatting down, showing a dignified demeanor. Holding up both hands, Bao handed it out. It's just a small thing. Luo Tang said something casually, and took the treasure box over. To be honest, after studying Odin's scepter, Mjolnir, and Casket of Ancient Winters, there wasn't much left in Asgard that deserved his attention. The crown of the flame titan Serta counts as one, and the death of eternity counts as one. Besides, he really thought of other things. This wooden treasure box, he felt that it was a bit heavy when he got it. The shape of the box also tends to be flat and long, definitely not what he expected. In addition, what can the Queen Frigga give him? Mr. Luo, won't you open it and have a look? With an elegant smile on her face, the Queen of Heaven, Frigga, seems to have full confidence in this treasure. Luo Tang raised his eyebrows slightly, and opened a corner of the treasure box. The stone tablet that shone with an inexplicable luster caused a trace of surprise to flash in his eyes. Life cards. It is said that the prehistoric civilization Atlantis came from the Earth. The life equation of biological evolution is engraved on it. According to the evolution equation of the life card, any user can evolve into the highest level life. Possess infinite wisdom and super fighting power. Odin is at a loss, Luo Tang muttered in his heart. The reason why he didn't think of this thing just now is that this thing rarely appeared in the original work. But the first time he saw this stone tablet, he knew that this thing is not simple. The life evolution equation on it faintly gave him a very strange feeling. You know, even when he touched the big clock before, he didn't have such a mysterious feeling. Mr. Luo, thank you again for everything you have done. The Queen of Heaven, Frigga, saluted gracefully. He turned his head and continued to question Loki. After knowing that the other party was safe and sound and would return to Asgard soon, she was slightly relieved. After leaving, she came to Thor again and told him about his daily life. Luo Tang collected life cards into the system warehouse. How to use this thing, I am afraid I will have to spend some time studying it later. Except for a few things that fell to the earth, the battlefield has basically been cleaned up. King of the Heavens, what should we do next? Runing's voice came from the dark communication network. King of the Heavens? Luo Tang frowned. This is even more worthy of the title of Heavenly Blade King. Although a little tired of Runing's image of an old witch after her rebellion. But Runing's loyalty and almost blind admiration for Keisha are unquestionable. Why would the other party use such a title? Is the highest order jointly left by King Tianblade, King Tianji, and King Apocalypse. From now on, the angel civilization will respect you as the King of the Heavens. Luo Tang was slightly speechless, but he knew what was going on in his heart. Angel civilization can come step by step and stand at the current height. It is inseparable from his support and assistance. In addition, the three of them now have enough affection for him, and they have seen the even more terrifying void theory. Although it was unexpected to make such a decision, it was a matter of reason. Shaking his head and throwing out the wild thoughts in his heart, Luo Tang instructed many angels in the dark communication network. Transport all the collected materials to Proxima Centauri, which will become Angel's first base station in this world. Yes. The more than 500 angels who stayed in the battlefield took action. Started up the damaged battleships one after another, dragged the wreckage that was still worth using, and quickly flew towards the Proxima Centauri. The battleships of the Chitauri Legion have complete star map coordinates. If they make a space jump, it won't take long for them to reach the position of Proxima Centauri. Heimdall, keep an eye on them for me. If anyone dares to hit their attention, tell me. Luo Tang connected to Bifrost and gave Heimdall an order. Although he obtained the opponent's gene before, he didn't integrate its ability into the bloodline prisoner. Too much to chew. Angel and Saiyan's gene integrate, he has not fully developed, it is better not to be too distracted. Luo Tang attaches great importance to the remaining 500 angels. If there were not a lot of things waiting for him to finish, he would definitely escort them all the way. After all, what they were going to do next was really important to him. The reason why the angel civilization can become a cosmic overlord level force in the super god world. It has nothing to do with the technology behind them. The big worm bridge throughout the known universe, the dark communication network that can call for support at any time, the supercomputing group that can apply for higher weapon authority at any time, and the arsenal with a large number of god-killing weapons. In addition, Angel is constantly improving their genes, so they can have a dominant performance. And all the above-mentioned things are inseparable from the supercomputing group. The supercomputing group is a celestial-level supercomputer independent of the body, and it can do too many things. At present, the supercomputing group of the Angel civilization has not yet reached the height of the big clock. But if it is calculated based on the calculation frequency alone, it has reached questions. A supercomputing group with complete functions and mature technology, dark communication can already cover the entire solar system and radiate the surroundings. and if a big insect bridge equivalent to a signal transfer station in a portal is established. This coverage area can even be expanded to the entire Milky Way. Luo Tang's Tu Shan engine currently has an ultra-fast computing frequency of 52 frequencies. One-on-one, basically in an invincible state. But without the computing support provided by the supercomputing group, it would be difficult for him to unleash the full power of the engines of the heavens. After all, his strongest strength right now is all kinds of high-level concept strikes. And this kind of strike requires too many calculations. It can easily deal with enemies within a certain range. But if the conceptual attack continues to expand, with the 52-frequency engine of the heavens, it will not be able to calculate that much data. Before dealing with the Chitauri Legion, he used the power of the space gem by cleverness. Otherwise it is difficult to achieve that shocking effect. The supercomputing group of the heavens. The warships of the heavens. Luo Tang squinted his eyes and watched all the angels board the battleship and leave. He is different from people like Ge Shaolun. The opponent chose a passive defensive strategy to make the Earth disappear from the vision of cosmic civilization. As for Luo Tang, he chose to show his strongest side. So that no one dares to come and attack. Hey Rob, what are we going to do next? The voice of Iron Man Tony Stark came from the communication channel. Go back and enjoy the hero-level treatment, and get together with your family by the way. Your performance just now has been seen by everyone, and you will probably be busy in the future. Luo Tang raised his eyebrows and said something to everyone in Avengers. Draw out a mysterious circle of magic circle, the other end of the circle is the Stark building. It sounds pretty good. Hawkeye Barton had a small smile on his face. As an agent, he never imagined that one day he would be able to stand in front of the public and become a well-known hero. Well, Tony, I hope you can take care of my feelings, I'm not good at dealing with those situations. The Green Titan banner shook his head and looked at Tony eagerly. Definitely, we are friends. With a stretched smile on Tony's face, wearing broken armor, he waved to everyone and stepped into the light dust. Mr. Luo, are you not going? Seeing that Luo Tang was unmoved, the little Black Panther T'Challa asked suspiciously. I have more important things to do. Luo Tang waved his hand, letting the opponent also enter the Stark building. The media in the United States is not generally annoying, he can't be bothered to spend his precious time dealing with those guys. After all, he won't be used to some crap that doesn't shut the door. The Avengers press conference that Denisa attended last time, if it was replaced by him. I'm afraid that after a press conference, most of the reporters on the scene will go out sideways. Let's go, Albedo. Luo Tang once again drew out a circle of mystical light and stepped into Wong. The scene in front of me changed. The original vast space has turned into a simple and ancient wooden building, and there are secret magicians ready to go everywhere around. Kamar Taj's magician didn't do nothing while Thanos' legion attacked. The restlessness in the dark dimension is more intense than ever. If it wasn't for the fact that this battle would have ended soon, I'm afraid that many people would be killed here today. Luo, you are here. The Ancient One magician stood at the door of the hall. Now, she rarely calls Luo Tang Luo magician, after all, the strength of the other party is stronger than magician. Ancient One magician, how are Loki and the others? Luo Tang asked as he walked towards the hall. Before he dealt with the war in space, Ancient One magician was responsible for taking down Loki, Mordo, and Nebula. The speed at which the other party solved the three was much faster than the speed at which he ended the war. Your disciple misses you more than you imagined. With a relaxed smile on Ancient One magician's face, being able to repel Thanos so easily made her more determined in her previous choice. The two walked into the hall. Loki swooped and hugged Luo Tang's thigh directly. Mentor. I miss you so much. I know I was wrong. I have been trying to find a way to contact you before. But those guys watched me. I am so helpless. Don't wipe your snot on my pant legs, or you're finished. Luo Tang said angrily. Loki's pretended crying stopped immediately, and he quickly loosened Luo Tang's trousers. He is very clear about the character of his tutor. Say he is finished, then he will definitely not end well. Mentor. I accidentally stepped into the space turbulence. With 2 lines of tears, Loki carefully explained. Careless? Luo Tang had an expression of, you are F***king kidding me, in his eyes. Mentor. That's not the point. Then I met Thanos, he's going to kill me. I've always wanted to ask you and my father for help, but there was no chance. Hee. Luo Tang twitched the corner of his mouth with a half smile. Loki's thoughts are very clear in his heart. When I first met Thanos, he probably would do anything to save his life. And when Thanos claimed that he could help him seize the inheritance, I am afraid that Loki was also very upset. Only in the end, after this guy found out about Thanos' intentions on Asgard and Earth, he went straight to the other side. After all, Loki is just a poor kid who wants to be recognized by others. Just like Naruto in Naruto when he was a child. The only difference is that this guy's pranks make a lot of noise every time. Mentor. What kind of punishment will I receive? Seeing Luo Tang's expression, Loki knew that he would not die. But the death penalty can be avoided, and the living penalty cannot be escaped. Next, some people will suffer it. Asgard, 1,000 years in prison. Luo Tang smiled slightly, and said a number that Loki could not accept. Even after cultivating divine power, his lifespan is long, and after 1,000 years, his father and king are probably going to die. Oh no. Teacher, you can't treat me like this, I'm your favorite disciple. Loki's eyes were blushing, and he tried hard to squeeze out tears. During this period, you have to learn how to govern the country, and you will be assessed once a month. If you fail the assessment, believe me, you will regret it. Govern. Government? Me? Thor may not stay in Asgard in the future. This is your only chance to let me see your ability. Loki stared blankly at Luo Tang. The original misery turned into a complex feeling of sadness and joy. Sitting on the ground, weeping silently. Try harder. Luo Tang had one last word to Loki. After reading the original book, he thinks he knows Loki better than most people. This guy is constantly craving recognition and approval. In the original book, he is in charge of Asgard, and every day he just listens to ditties and watches big plays. To say that he has no ambition is to flatter him. Maybe with a little guidance, he can see a completely different three princesses? After all, he always calls himself a teacher, and Luo Tang also hopes that he can have a better future. Ancient One Magician has been silently watching Luo Tang deal with Loki. When I saw Loki crying from the heart, she couldn't help but feel that Luo Tang is much better than her in teaching students to walk on the right path. Ancient One Magician, what about Nebula and Zhendu? After Luo Tang finished dealing with Loki, he turned to look at Ancient One. Ningyun was banished to a different space by me. After Mordu woke up, he thought he had made an unforgivable mistake, so he decided to go to the dark dimension and fight for his whole life to make up for his mistakes. On Ancient One Magician's face, there was an expression of embarrassment. Shang Yun has nothing to do with her, and she doesn't care, but Mo Du is her important disciple. At this point, how can we not let people feel emotional? This is the scepter that Loki brought back from Thanos. Please keep it safe. This ability to control people's hearts is too dangerous. The Ancient One Magician shook his head, raised his hand to open a occult aperture, and took out the psychic scepter. I know. Luo Tang nodded. Having achieved the biggest goal of this trip, he has no interest in staying in Kamar Taj. After bidding farewell to Ancient One Magician, he left here with Albedo and Loki. After communicating with Odin, Loki was taken to Asgard's prison. Accompanied by him, there are only so many ways to govern the country that make him doubt life. After returning to the travel agency, Luo Tang immediately took out the Mind Scepter and Life Card that had been put into the system warehouse. After crushing the gem on the Mind Scepter, Mind Gem also revealed its true colors. The Heaven System, analyze Mind Gem and Life Card. Analysis started. Mind Gem has the power to control the mind. Can know the thoughts and dreams of all creatures, and even change them easily. At the same time, it also has the effect of enhancing the user's spiritual power. If it is used well, it can be turned into a sharp weapon even though it seems to have no direct attack power. Definitely, for Luo Tang, the biggest function of this thing is to use it as void particles. As for life cards, Luo Tang can faintly feel that this thing is very important to him. But before the specific analysis results come out, even he doesn't know what kind of changes this thing can bring to him.